So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's up YouTube, Dad here from Zephyr Games again, bringing you my next meta underdog contender. Now again, this is a deck that I feel most people feel that is past their prime or aren't going to be as good, when actually in fact, especially with the news that Dragoons is coming out, if this deck stays untouched, has a very nice out to all the main meta decks and can really compete and cause a lot of issues to anybody. And that is of course Orcust. Now Orcust did lose Heart Horror, it went straight from 3 to none, it was like boom. But it still has an incredibly powerful boss monster in the extra deck in Dingrisu. It also has a lot of recurrence. It does have some consistency issues, but it's one of them decks that one card unlocks your entire hand and allows you to go full combo. It can get hit by stuff like Super Poly, it can get hit by stuff like Nibiru, but if played correctly, it can do very well. So before we get into this, please smash the like button, hit the notification bell and subscribe so you do not miss out on anything more. Both our competitive decks, our fun decks, our talks and combos, as well as openings as well. Now before we get into this profile, massive shout out to Dennis. So Dennis has been taking this to all of our locals, both Hatfield, Stevenage, you name it, and he's been getting constantly the top 4 spots every single time with this deck. Now going into Master 5, he's made some nice adaptations to the deck, which I will show you as well. And we've kind of talked back and forth before I profiled this to show, basically go over a couple of suggestions. There's a couple of cards I was like, why aren't you playing these? And he's like, I just forgot, or that's a great idea. So we've adapted it a little bit as well. But this is Dennis's pure build. This is Dennis's build that he's been taking to the events. He's been doing incredibly well with. So I definitely expect that during Master 5, as soon as this lockdown is over, this deck will certainly be kicking some ass. With that being said, let's get into the profile and show you exactly what Dennis runs without dropping the cards all over the floor. So Dennis starts off with Triple Orcust Nightmare. You actually play cards of getting this out of the hand and a lot of discard fodder. So it's nice, easy lore fodder, it's nice, easy discard fodder. It's basically the fodder of the deck, but it's also the card that gets everything going. Then he plays double Skeleton and double Bombard. Obviously, with Harp gone, you have to kind of play Bombard, and it's another one of them cards that is an easy lure target, but it's also an easy card that kind of unlocks the entire deck and allows it to carry on going. We've then got double Wand. This is actually serves more importance in the deck now because he does play Lib, the World Chalice, in the extra deck, and I'll show you how good that card is. I kind of underrated it, but then you put it in a deck like this, and it's like, hang on, it can search you out a Monster Reborn, it can then non-target spin a card when it leaves as linked material, so when you basically turn Lib into Galatea, nice little bit of lore video for you there, it kind of goes further from there, which is awesome. You then, to back the deck up, because you lost your Harp, you got triple Recycler and the 1 Golem, alongside a Jet Synchron. Now I did say, why did he play Jet Synchron over Leo O-Line? And he basically said that Jet Synchron was a bit more versatile, which I agree with, because if this card's in the graveyard, you send a card from your hand to the graveyard. So you put an Orcust in there to set your combos up going, this then comes back. He also plays 1-for-1 because he has this on Bombard. So he's got a lot more consistency going for him with this than O-Line. And it's all the deck really needs. Then of course you've got the 1 Greffa and the 1 Armageddon Knight, followed up by your 1 Gizmek Orochi. This wins you more games than you'll believe. Then for the dangers, the 1 Sukanoko, the 1 Nessie and the 1 Jackalope, alongside, as if the deck wasn't bad enough, the 1 Dragon Buster, purely because you do end your board on Dark Monsters, so being able to use Union Carrier and then back Union Carrier up with a Dingrisu that can either come back during your opponent's turn with a Galatea with this locked onto it with a Crescendo. It just gives the deck another level that it didn't really need, but it can do now with the introduction of Union Carrier. Then he did play 3 Nibiru. We've cut this down to 2 just because you can put in the 1-for-1. It's not a card you have to main. This can easily come out for DD Crows or Drone Lockbirds, any hand traps you want. This is just the free hand trap space. Alongside Triple Ash Blossom, you can pretty much adapt this to the most relevant card for the format. Moving on to the spells, it's got a lot of draw power. So you've got your triple Allure of Darkness and your triple Orchestrated Return. So again, both these cards unlock the deck. So the Allure Fodder, it doesn't really matter because you spin it back with Galatea. The Orchestrated Return is just to send an Orcust card from your hand or field and draw 2. So it's like, cool, I'm going to set up my graveyard for my place to extend my combat and then draw 2. Like, what's not to love about the card? It is the expensive card of the set because it's only had 1 print. In Soul Fusion, I believe it is. I think they're sitting at like 20 to 30 quid each, I think. So you can see why they're the money card, but definitely worth picking up. It's a deck that I think if people do underestimate and say, yeah, okay, don't need it no more, and you can find these really, really cheap, I'd say pick them up, definitely. And then a lot of one of spells. You've got the 1/1/1, the 1 Foolish Burial, the 1 Reinforcement of the Army, the 1 World Legacy Succession, and the 1 Orchestrated Babel. Now he did suggest Monster Reborn, and I said you might as well just do this because this is searchable and it can be set off of your IB, and then the chances are you either Monster Reborn or World Legacy Succession to the IB zone, or you make your Galatea and then revive to that zone, and it protects Galatea as well. For the traps, triple Infinite Impermanence. Again, this is where the money comes in, and then the 1 Crescendo. All quite straightforward on that one. You can replace the Imperms for Veilers, but obviously they're not going to be as good as having your having Imperms. Onto the extra deck, of course, triple Galatea. Straightforward and simple on that one. This is your go-getter. This is the game starter. This is what you need to go into your big and bad Dingrisu, and follow up with the 1 Longrisu as well. Then to keep the lore going, we do play the 1, or he does play the 1 Lib, the World Keyblade Master. Now the reason this card is so good is it can only be linked summoned while you have a World Legacy card in your graveyard. So that's where 1 comes into play. As long as you keep 1 in there, you get to extend a little bit further. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. So during your main phase, you can set 1 World Legacy spell or trap directly from your deck, but it cannot be activated this turn while you have no World Legacy monsters in your graveyard. Chances are you're going to have that wand still in there, so you can activate it, bring wand back, and then go off from there. You've got to be careful though, because if it is linked someone and sent to the graveyard as linked material, you shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. So it's non-target shuffle, which is great, get rid of a window nice and easy, but you're probably going to be stuck under a window anyway. But it does mean that you can do this, search out the wand, bring wand back, and it has a both go first for extension and a go second kind of effect to let you go from there. If you don't make Lib, you do either make Union Carrier, Scrap Wyvern, or of course your IP Masquerena. So they've got a lot of decent Link 2s in the deck that give them protection and bounce, lockouts, nice non-target spin, and then extension as well. So it gives you a lot to go with. Mix that up with a Phoenix and of course a Nightmare Unicorn alongside a Link Karibo, just to kind of give you a bit of protection to spin your Bombard or your Jet Synchron into that as well. So it just lets you get a little bit further going, and it lets you build the board that you really, really need it to go in order to get to the game and protect yourself as well. And then for the final 2 cards, these are the boss monsters of the deck. So you've got the 1 Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. Now this is literally just there as a defensive level 4 to stop you getting the beard if you play it correctly. And then he chooses to play Zero Boros over Borosword. Now, easily put Borosword in here if you want. No arguments about that. I like Zero Boros. I think it's a nice kind of thing when you're playing a lore, and if your opponent banishes anything, just being able to lock your opponent under a Zero Boros as well, and it allows this IP to go into this as well. It gives you another level of stun during your opponent's turn. So that should you not want to go into a Unicorn, you can go ding, send a card, and they're like, cool, I'm going to keep extending. You go, alright, IP plus ding, plus 1 more. Going to Zero Boros. Now you're going to be able to go into your extra deck. Now I know it's a little bit less relevant because of Marshall 5, but it does lock them out of playing Link monsters themselves. So a very, very good power card. It's a personal choice, you don't have to play it. I quite like it. I think it does do a nice little job. Where it does a better job than Borosword, I think that's down to personal opinion. It's still a very, very good card, and I still think that it can do really, really well. And that's why I think Orcust is an underdog of the upcoming format as well, and the upcoming meta, just because I think they're very, very good. Not a lot of people were playing like Lanciers and were playing like stuff to stop the banish because of Spirals. Now they're no longer around. I think there's going to be less representation for Orcust, which means those that do play Orcust are going to be forgotten about, and when they face an Orcust, they're going to go, oh crap, there's still a deck, and the deck is still incredibly powerful as well. But anyway, we wait to be seen, which is why it's a meta underdog, because it doesn't really get into the top 5 in my opinion, but it does float around that zone. Still very, very powerful, still very, very good. Can't be built on a budget, but if you've already got it, you can just jump straight into it. It's still going to be very, very fun to see, and hopefully it's going to take the meta by surprise and be a meta underdog for the upcoming format. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, smash that like button, subscribe so you do not miss out on anything. And as always, guys, until next time, happy dueling!